Hi y'all. I decided to come out and make a video this morning because it's like, I don't know, it was like 92% humidity a little while ago. I think it's down to 87. It was supposed to thunderstorm or rain. It was supposed to rain last night and it didn't, and it went north of us here on Cape Cod. It's just to the east of us, out over the ocean. And then it's supposed to thunderstorm or rain here around 4 this afternoon. But I think we're going to miss the major storms and we might get like a tiny bit of rain. But I really wanted rain. I mowed my whole yard yesterday. It would have been perfect timing, but I didn't water, so I probably will regret that. I just hope it rains. We really need it. And plus this humidity is just awful. But it is cooler. It's not too hot today. I think it's like 76. It's better than 90 like it was a couple of days ago. But I was just noticing there's small birds out. I just had a hummingbird come to the feeder in front of me. But there's like an eerie stillness, even though it's a little breezy. There's only like little birds around, but there's no critters. And I'm used to being surrounded by chipmunks and bunnies and everything else. So it's just kind of weird. It's very still. The worst part about it is there's peepers. And I don't know if everybody's familiar with peepers, but let's just say when you're growing up on Cape Cod, you hear the peepers in the spring, you get excited because it means it's almost summer. But when you hear peepers in the fall, especially if you're a teacher, it's very depressing because the first time you start hearing peepers, it means summer's over and fall's about to begin and you have to go back to school. So I'm having all the anxiety of having to go back as a teacher that I had just as badly as a student. But I'm not going back. So it's a really strange thing. It's going to take a while to get over. Like my internal rhythm is saying like it's school time. But I've always wanted to have September off on the Cape, so I guess I should be thankful. It's just kind of like anxiety provoking, you know? My teacher friends are all not looking forward to their in-service days before Labor Day, and I'm just sitting here enjoying the backyard while I can. Like I mentioned in another video, the leaves are already turning yellow and they're falling. My hydrangeas are dying. First of all, it was 90 degrees, so some of them burned to a crisp. I have to move some of them. They're in the full sun and they shouldn't be. But the ones that I moved are thriving. So yeah, I have a lot of landscaping to do. I didn't do any at the beginning of summer, and I have hawthorn trees I have to move that are getting to be about 8 feet tall. And when I planted them, they were tiny little like sticks, and now they're too big and they have really sharp thorns that are like killer. So I don't know how I'm gonna move them, and they're way too close to my foundation. And also I don't know where I'm gonna put them because they get to be like, 60 feet tall. So, but the birds love them in the winter time. They provide food for the birds, and I really want them to survive so that the birds can take advantage. But anyway, yeah, I have to move those. And then I also have 2 Zinfandel hydrangeas that get to be about 6 feet tall, and they're almost there now, and they're way too close to my back door. And I absolutely love them, but I planted them there again when they were tiny little sticks. And they're pouring out onto my step, and I absolutely love them, and I don't want to move them, and it's like the most fertile part of my yard, but eventually I might be sorry that they're crowding everything. In that same tiny little spot, I have, I think it's called California Dreamin' hydrangeas that are pink and purple. They're absolutely gorgeous. And then I have the Zinfandel hydrangeas. And then I also have my peonies that are just stunning. So they're all like within a 3-foot radius crowded together, which is not good in the long run. But they all seem to thrive there. I had an astilbe, pink astilbe plant in there, and a Montauk daisy just decided to grow there on its own. Didn't plant it. It spread on its own. I must have thrown like scraps there or something, but now I have a full Montauk daisy that I didn't plant right there. But yeah, it's a very crowded space. I didn't do any weeding at all this spring, so I'm kind of regretting it. And there's locust trees overtaking my yard, which is really, they're just the bane of my existence. They always have been. In 1987, I was in the car with my best friend, and she had just gotten her license like 6 days before that. And so we had just turned 17. It was just after my 17th birthday as well. And we were showing 2 friends of ours around town that had never been there. And it was a sunny Sunday morning. We were obviously not drinking. It wasn't snowing or whatever. But she just went around a corner too fast and fishtailed and hit a tree. Locust tree. So I've never been very fond. Although I do like the flowers. They are pretty and they smell beautiful. But anyway, yeah, we hit a tree. She was in a coma for 4 days. She had to have like 440 stitches in her face. She came out of the coma talking like a 4-year-old. It took a long time for her to recover, but our friendship ended up not lasting after that. She didn't remember the accident, obviously. She was driving, and so the engine came up into the car and the steering column. I was in the back seat behind her, and I remember most of the accident. I remember almost hitting the tree. I remember after hitting the tree, I broke my left femur. So needless to say, I was in a wheelchair for 3.5 months. Missed 3.5 months in my senior year in high school. And then I was on crutches for like 7.5 months after that. And I still have quite a limp. But anyway, I didn't get my license till I was like 19 because it kind of messed me up pretty badly. My actual teachers had to come to my house to tutor me. That was fun because like my French teacher didn't even show up. My history teacher didn't come. And I don't even know what he was. It wasn't biology. It was one of my science teachers came, and he taught me the same chapter 6, over and over and over again every time he came. He was really old and senile, but he drew a neuron and labeled the parts: dendrite, myelin sheath. Like, I know all of it. Synapses, all of it. I mean, he did teach me because I remember all of it. I just remember he took out like a pile of typing paper and would draw the same thing over and over again. But anyway, yeah, needless to say, I didn't graduate high school. I missed it by 1 credit because I failed French 4 without a tutor. Go figure. Ironically, now I speak a little of 14 languages, and I do remember French. And it's really frustrating that I didn't graduate with my class, but they let me march on crutches, and I received a blank diploma. but it was really painful mentally and physically. And so I eventually got my GED, and I went on to the community college and I got my associate's degree. Then I transferred to a 4-year college and I got my bachelor's degree and my teaching license in history. And then I went on and got my master's degree. So when my daughter was in high school, I think she was in 10th grade, my old high school, she went to my school. I marched in there and I talked to the principal and I said, you know, I have a master's degree in education and I am teaching. I'm pretty sure by now I've earned my diploma and I would really like one. And he said, absolutely. So he had a diploma made for me from my high school. 2 years before my daughter graduated, I graduated. It was a big deal. I still have it. It meant a lot to me. But yeah, I overcame a lot. That was like something that affected the rest of my entire life. The way I drive, friendships, everything. I still have a scar all the way down my left femur because I had to have a metal rod put in my bone to heal, and like 2 metal wires, and they had to go in the side of my leg to take out bone. It's really disgusting. I'm sorry. I should have had a trigger warning before that. But the scar looks like a zipper, and I used to tell people that. They'd be like, what happened to your leg? And I'd say, oh, a bug just went in my mouth. Thank you very much. I could edit that out, but whatever. Okay, we're filming outside for real. Anyway, I used to tell people that they were like, how'd you do that? And I used to say, like, I was bitten by a shark while I was surfing. I don't surf. And if I were bitten by a shark, I'd be dead. I'd be dead now. There are definitely sharks in the waters. I probably wouldn't swim in the ocean at this point. I remember a red-tailed hawk just flew over me. Anyway, I remember last year, my brother and my sister and my dad and I, after my mom passed away, went down to the beach. And our brother went in, and I was stressed out the entire time he was in the water. Just, please, God, just if you see a seal, just get out. Just don't swim. But anyway, yeah. So, anyway, I don't know how I got on that tangent after talking about locust trees, but the locust trees, their roots grow horizontally, right? If you don't know. And they're like the weed of trees, okay? And I have one that I let grow. When I first moved in, the landscapers had I have like a horseshoe-shaped yard, and the landscapers sort of made this giant hill. I don't know why they dug so far into I don't know, whatever. I have a horseshoe-shaped hill all around my yard, and there was a couple locust trees, and I didn't realize how serious it was until little ones, like 50 of them, I'm not exaggerating, popped up all around my entire perimeter. And I trim them back every spring, which I didn't do this year. And I cut them down completely on my side yards, and especially like on the side behind me, because it would block my entire view of sunrise, which I look at every single day. And a new person moved in next door, and I decided to leave it just to have some privacy. And I'm kind of really regretting that I left it, because I was in charge of going over on the other side of the fence and cutting it down every spring. And I wish I had this time, because now it's totally blocking the view of the sunrise. And I'm kind of sad about it. But I realized in the wintertime, at least the leaves will be off and I can see them. But anyway, point being, because of this horizontal root thing, they're now popping up in the middle of my lawn. Like 30 of them. And every time I mow, I have to cut them down. And the root is like thick, like like tree roots. There's like two roots running all along my backyard now to my bulkhead. And I don't know what I'm gonna do, because like, what if I'm like 80 years old and still here? I can't keep up. There's no way. Like right now I'm doing all my landscaping on my own, obviously failing at that part of it. And I don't know what I'll do. I'll have like an entire tree line in my backyard. So yeah, damn locust trees. Anyway, on a final note, I just wanted to say that it looks like I'll be watering later on, because it's getting really bright out and there's blue sky now between the clouds, and I'm kind of bummed. I was hoping it rained, but maybe it'll still rain this afternoon. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please share it or subscribe to my channel. Every little bit helps, but mainly thank you for watching the whole thing, and I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great day. Leave me a comment from where you're watching this from. I'd love to know. Okay, take care.